Hey everyone, welcome back to Vanquish. This is a laser cannon only playthrough on God Hard, Act 1, Chapter 3. There's a couple of things I didn't mention in my last level. I didn't play 1-1 because there's no enemies, so there's no point since there's nothing to show. I wanted to talk about why I wanted to do this run too. I've played this game a lot ever since it came out. This game's been out 10 years now, which is insane to think about. But so in those 10 years, the laser cannon, out of all my playthroughs, I've never really used it. So I wanted to do a whole playthrough just using it, and I've seen a lot of interesting things about it so far. So I was gonna kind of walk through what's going on and some tips and tricks and all that good stuff. Here. So when you're playing on God Hard, there's two Romanovs here, which are not there even on Hard. So this part is exponentially more difficult on God Hard, just because these two Romanovs are already charging you. So I hide behind this this vehicle here. Like, what I would tell people is don't be afraid to use the environment. I know that a lot of people, yes, this game is stylish, and yes, this game is different than other third-person shooters, but you can still play it like you can incorporate elements of cover-based third-person shooters into your playstyle. Like, the cover's there for a reason. Like, taking cover isn't a bad thing. You have to use it strategically. There's really no way to not use cover in this game either. Like, no cover runs are people using soft cover, which is what I'm doing right here. So you have to use cover in some fashion. Just, I mean, it's lame when people base their entire run around it, but yeah, it's really important to do. That laser attack that the Romanovs do is so easy to dodge, it almost feels out of place. It's very strange. One thing to note about the laser cannon that's extremely important to you always have to think about, especially when you're doing it in slow-mo, is it takes time for you see there, the shot to actually hit the enemy. So that there's like a travel time to hit the enemy, and that's like causing you meter. So I would definitely, if you're going for a super long shot, don't do it in slow-mo because you're gonna overheat probably. And like right here, this is a good example. You know, this kind of run kind of makes you to play a little differently or think differently, because right here I'd love to just have an assault rifle so I could just pick these guys off, but yeah, I actually have to get out of cover and risk taking damage. And as you can see, there's a barrage of grenades, which is a common theme throughout all of this difficulty, which is kind of annoying, but it really forces you out of certain, like playing it too safe in certain spots, which is kind of cool. So I try to get in the habit of not using cigarettes unless they're absolutely necessary, because you get 3 in every mission, and they don't come back if you die. So if you use 1 and you die, you don't get it back. I don't know why it was done that way. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity, because you don't really have a lot of chance to experiment or try new tactics. You would have to back out of the game and go back to the title screen. I think it's kind of dumb, but whatever. So I try not to use them because I like to exhaust all my other options in a strategy first and then do those last, because I don't like to run out of them and then be stuck without them. So this part seemed manageable enough, so I just didn't even bother. These golden Gorgies, I don't actually know how they're pronounced, but either way, let's call them Gorgies. These golden Gorgies are incredibly obnoxious on God Hard. They can shoot you almost instantly as soon as you pop out of cover, and they'll take you to danger. I just refer to like the red health as danger. They take you to danger almost every shot, from what I can tell. Like right there. So, and they have a lot more health than the regular red ones. There's parts later where you fight multiple ones, and it is really, really hard. Even for someone who's played this game, I've beaten this game probably 20 times. They're still so hard. It's crazy. So right here I do a classic grenade lob, and then I shoot the grenade. if you are like, it's kind of annoying how when you throw a grenade, it can bounce off objects, and sometimes it's not very reliable. Shooting the grenade is obviously very reliable. Not only that, it gets a damage boost. So if you can do that, always go for that. Or go for the grenade drop, which is where you slide and press the grenade button and he'll drop it on the ground. But with these Romanovs, with the laser cannon, I like to go for, obviously either go for their weak point or go for their legs. The legs, they like fall over, so it gives you a lot of time to hit their weak point and stuff. I always like to end the fight with a melee. It just does a lot of damage at the end, and obviously if you're overheating after the enemies are gone, it really doesn't matter. So, not gonna lie, this fight with the Argus was really sloppy. First, I take care of these transport ships, obviously, but I don't know if I was just not paying attention, but this fight with the Argus just doesn't go well. I don't die, but I felt like I should have. Like, the game should have just punished me for how bad I was doing. So I just get on the turret and I just, shoot these RIs as they come out of the ship. There's really nothing to this part. This chapter, let's say you beat hard, and you're like, okay, I'm going to play God hard. This chapter is going to be either like make or break. It's going to make or break you, because that part that I just did with the 2 Romanovs and all those golden Gorgies, that's it. That's so much harder than that part is on hard. You already have the increased damage you take, and the half of your AR, half your meter, stuff like that. And then you throw in 2 Romanovs right at the beginning of the game. It's like overkill for like a beginner, or maybe not a beginner if you beat the game, but someone who isn't super experienced with the game. So if you can make it past those 2 Romanovs into this fight, you're pretty well set for a while. I'd say the next really hard section is 3-2, which obviously isn't until roughly halfway through the game, maybe a little further. That rocket attack is, I don't think I've ever been killed by it. I get hit by it here, which is also rare. I never get hit by that attack, but for some reason this fight just went really bad. Also, I can't help but think this fight is just awesome. Like, it's got a lot of attacks, the terrain's pretty cool. It has a weak point, but when you go to attack it, it has that cool attack that overheats you. The turrets that you can use can be destroyed. The cover can all be destroyed. It has 2 forms. It's just an all-around great fight. Remember back when the demo first came out on the PS3, and I seriously played that demo probably 40 times. It was ridiculous. I played it probably 2 or 3 times a day until the game came out. And it was mostly because of this fight. I could not get enough of this fight. It was so cool. So here we have the transformation, which this is the part I'm talking about where it just goes really poorly. I don't die, or I don't do anything like catastrophically bad. It's just that I feel like it took so long to kill it, which doesn't usually happen. I feel like that attack is more just like a spectacle. When this game came out, they were like, look how many particles we can have on the screen, kind of thing. I mean, it looks cool, but that attack is it's so hard to get hit by. So for this I tried to, what I like to do normally is damage all of his limbs, or joints I guess they are, and then like I'll destroy one, attack his weak spot. Right when he recovers, I'll destroy the other one really quickly so that I can attack the weak spot again. I didn't do it this time because waiting for the laser cannon to recharge, it just got on my nerves, and here I am just getting hit by that overheating laser like an idiot. I throw an EMP even though it wasn't going to do anything either. So this is pretty bad display overall. And I should have redone the fight, but I didn't think to do so. Since this is the end of the level, I could have used some cigarettes, because obviously they were gonna replenish anyway. But I didn't think to do it because this fight's honestly not very hard compared to the other bigger enemies or the bosses. The Argus is actually pretty easy, like compared to the bogey, and then obviously the double bogey, which is like insane. Can't wait to talk about that one. Can't wait to get there on this run. There's so much to say about just that fight alone. And then obviously compared to, you know, Burns, even the tanks. I think the tanks are harder than the fights with the Argus, which the tanks aren't even considered a boss technically. So the Crystal Vipers are also pretty easy. They're a cool enemy, but they're very easy. You only fight 2 of them in the whole campaign. Oh, here I am getting into the wrong position and completely ruining my chance to do any damage to this guy. And that's the thing, is when you're overheating with the laser cannon, since it takes meter to fire, you basically are defenseless unless you use EMPs. So, and in a fight like this, where you only have a small window to actually attack him, I basically I couldn't do anything. I just wasted that whole opportunity. So that's why this felt so bad to me, because stuff like that, you only have so much time to attack him, and I completely ruined it. So there's not a whole lot to say past this point, so I'm just gonna stop the voiceover here, and I'll see you guys next time.